Good evening and welcome to the special city council meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Let it be known that all members of the council are present with our Mayor Pro Tem leading the cause from 435 Maple Street. Still recovering from her knee surgery, but starting to move along a little bit better.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to look to Councilmember Alvarado for our Pledge of Allegiance and Councilmember Espinoza for our invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this day that you've given us, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the city, to be here with this group of family and friends, Lord Father God, as they partake in this meeting. Lord, we ask that you guide and direct us, keep us safe and sound. Through all these things, we ask for your precious son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
You guys can be seated. Okay, moving on. I need an approval of agenda. City manager, any changes?
So, Mayor and Council, with regards to the one item under Department Director reports regarding the public benefit, I'd like to move that to the June 4th meeting.
Okay. All right, folks, I'm going to need a motion in a second to approve the agenda as revised, moving the Department Director comment to June 4th.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Prout,
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Given.
Yes. Now, as great as it would be for everyone to be here because you want to be involved in a city council meeting, I have a funny feeling that's not the case right now. We do have some presentations for this evening, and we are going to start with our Shafter Police Department for our standout scholars. Ma'am?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Honorable Board members. My name is Senior Officer Rachel Luzeta, and I am the School Resource Officer for the Richland School District. Since being assigned as the School Resource Officer, I've gotten to know many of the scholars, including some of the ones you see here today. Part of the goals of the Richland School District and the Shafter Police Department was to provide a safe learning environment for all the scholars, to bridge the gap between law enforcement officers and scholars, and to come together to resolve problems that are affecting the youth in our community so that they can reach their fullest potential. Tonight, on behalf of the Shafter Police Department, I'd like to recognize 4 scholars who have excelled in areas of academics, attendance, and behavior. These 4 students not only have done their best academically, but they've stood out helping others, participating in school organizations, as well as they are well on their way to becoming active leaders in this community. The first scholar that I'd like to recognize is Andrew Olvera. Andrew, if you'll step up here. Andrew, this is what your school had to say about you. Andrew has demonstrated being an outstanding scholar at the Sequoia Elementary. He has excellent attendance along with a 3.88 GPA. In addition, he helped lead Sequoia's student council in organizing many activities as school president. Andrew's thoughtfulness radiates in every facet of his school life. He stands out as a student who goes above and beyond to make his classmates and teachers feel valued and appreciated. This trait is most evident in his kindness. He extends to his peers as well as always ready to help. He has a big heart, a kind temperament, and he always includes everyone around him. Overall, Andrew's determination to academically succeed along with his thoughtfulness to help others illuminates him as Sequoia's standout scholar. Andrew Raya. Andrew, this is what Redwood Elementary had to say about you. Redwood Elementary has the pleasure of selecting Andrew Raya as the Shafter Police Department's 6th grade standout scholar. Andrew is dependable, hardworking, and committed. His stellar academics, attendance, and excellent behavior are a testament to how much he values his education. Andrew does not like to miss school. He always tries his best to be here on time and comes prepared to school. When he walks into his classroom, he has a cheerful spirit and he comes with a positive attitude. He enjoys helping other scholars when they need support. We can always count on him to listen, take notes, and follow directions. Andrew likes to make sure his assignments are done correctly. He's a bright, caring young man, and we are all proud for him receiving this recognition. We look forward to hearing all the great things that he will achieve in the future. We wish him the best as he moves to Richland Junior High. Congratulations, Andrew. Julissa Acosta. Julissa, this is what Richland Junior High had to say about you. Richland Junior High could not be more proud to have Julissa Acosta as the Richland Junior High Scholar of the Shafter Police Department. She currently holds a 4.22 grade point average and has a 96% attendance rate. She played varsity basketball during the 7th and 8th grade year. This year, she received Most Improved Player on the varsity basketball team at Richland Junior High Sports Awards. Julissa is also one of the few 8th graders to use her elective period as a student aide in Mr. Schaefer's science class. We asked a few of her teachers their thoughts on Julissa, and this is what they had to say. Mrs. Umphreys said, Julissa is focused and diligent student who strives for excellence in every task and that she is assigned with the classroom. She is highly self-motivated, who both advocates for herself as well as one who takes ownership of her education. I know that Julissa will drive her ambition and go far in whatever she decides to conquer in life. Julissa's presence on campus will be missed when she graduates on May 30th. We know she's going to do amazing things at Shafter General High, as a general at Shafter General High and beyond. Julissa, you're a standout scholar. Congratulations. Olivia Chamberlain. Olivia, this is what Golden Oak had to say about you. Olivia is a scholar who always takes pride in fulfilling the expectations placed on her while at Golden Oak. Olivia has a strong attendance record, participates in class, is a natural leader, and displays excellent self-control and behavior inside and outside of the classroom. Olivia also keeps her grades as her #1 priority, earning a 4 out of 4 quarters on the principal's list while in the 6th grade. We are honored as the 6th grade team to present Olivia with this award. Way to go and congratulations, Olivia. Thank you.
Again, congratulations to our scholars. That is actually a really, really cool honor to have. I will say, Andrew, that was a really cool thing that your dad got a chance to give that to you. So really, really cool. You don't get those moments very often, so take hold of that. Okay, I'm assuming the rest of you are also not here just to watch a council meeting. I mean, music's cool. All right, we'll go with that. Well, I do have the pleasure of introducing our 2020 Cameron Duvain. this yet, because I don't even. Which is kind of cool to be standing here with Cam, because I've known her, since she was a wee bitty thing, and so it's kind of cool to be a part of this right now. I'm gonna read all that, and stand over that. And then I'll the 2024 Distinguished Young Woman of Shafter, whereas the Distinguished Young Woman Program, formerly the Junior Miss Program, provides young women who have distinguished themselves at school and in their community the opportunity to compete for college scholarships at a local, regional, state, and national level. And whereas Cameron Eubanks was selected as the 2024 Distinguished Young Woman of Shafter and earned a special award for fitness, and whereas the Shafter City Council takes pride in the accomplishments of young leaders, it encourages others to establish and pursue their dreams and desires to pay special tribute to Miss for her success and the example she has set by her willingness to try. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Shafter hereby encourage all citizens of Shafter to join together to congratulate and extend a special tribute to Cameron Eubanks during her reign in the Distinguished Young Woman of Shafter program passed and adopted today. Congratulations. Another one to say congratulations again, you both. And hold on, I just want to be clear. It is like an act of God to get a key. None of us have keys, so the fact that you have a key is kind of important. It opens everything while it opens. And this is yours too. You don't get to run far. Okay, so much more, and I want everybody up here to focus on this thing, all right? Okay, with that, if you're familiar with the program, there's more than just one person who get the chance to take awards, and so we do want to congratulate all the award winners. There were 16 girls who participated this year. It was a great program, a great turn. Congratulate all the other girls tonight. So I'm going to call, I think I see most of them, but I think I see this one. Celeste is not here, is she? Oh, you're in front of me. I'm so sorry, Celeste. Celeste Perez is our Distinguished Young Woman Shafter First Alternative and the recipient of the Self-Expression Award. Celeste, congratulations. You're welcome. I don't know how I missed you right in front of me. Adriano Marino, Bravo. Adriana is our Distinguished Young Woman of Shafter Second. Congratulations. Oh, this one's special. I'm still a dad at heart, right? This is really special to me. Sometimes you cry. Up there. All right, I'll dry it up, I promise. Katie, by the way, Katie, I'm never gonna say the name right. Katie can say it. I know, but say it. Okay, Katie Matoa was our recipient of the Scholastic Award. By the way, Scholastic Award, for those who may not know, is a very difficult award to achieve. That is top honor when it comes to working with DYW or the Juniors program. That pretty much means top of her class as far as academics go. So congratulations, Katie. Amelie Rosales, the recipient for our talent award. One more applause for Amelie. Allison Figueroa. Allison is a recipient of one of the Excellence Awards. And last, certainly not least, Erica Montoya, recipient of the Excellence Award. Okay, ladies, all ladies up. You don't get to run yet. All ladies up. Nah, that's fine. You can go on. Okay, go on back. Next. I don't. I try not to. I really try not to. For those of you who may be new.
There you go.
Councilmember Espinoza is our known photographer at this point. Yeah.
We gotta condense it a little bit. All right, let me get through here.
Good, okay, okay. Congratulations. Yes. Are my students still here? Say they're still here. Yes, can I have all my students that got feet, that's the one. Can I have all my, thank you. My young students, my scholarly students. Yeah, bring your award. Absolutely bring your award. Take it out of this.
I'm not gonna tell them. Down here?
He's the man.
I'm out, I'm out.
I don't know, this is pretty tall.
Where do you want me?
Put you.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, come down.
Let me come down here. Hold on.
Oh,
Okay, now scoot over this way. We gotta scoot over this way. Okay, you gotta turn your inside shoulder in a little bit, in a little bit, in a little bit, inside shoulders. I don't hang up in any post office. But
No, that wasn't, no, that was not, I promise, that's not planned. You know, you never know what to expect in those moments. So Lauren is the recipient of an excellence award and a spirit award. Now I can talk, I can breathe at this point. So I apologize for that. I try my hardest not to get emotional, but guess what? I'm a dad, and that's what dads do. And family is the most important thing you can have. And if you didn't know that now. Whatever you do it for your family. You make sure that they're always taken care of. So that's really important. Ladies, congratulations to each and every one of you. Fantastic show. Try to use the key, see if it works. Maybe your mom will get out of a ticket some way, somehow. I don't know if that's how it works. If you did not know, Ms. Eubanks and Ms. I cannot say the difference, but can I get both of Eubanks to stand up for me? Yeah, you get called out on this one. So she follows in the footsteps of her mama, the 1990, no. Okay, I was gonna be careful. I wasn't gonna get too old. The 1999 Shafters Junior Miss, number 4, Miss Roya De La Rosa, aka now known as Roya Eubanks, and her daughter, number 4, Cameron Eubanks, both share the same award. So congratulations again, Cam. Some of you may have had her as your teacher. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see how that goes. Mayor Pro Tem, any words from you?
You know, I love the program and I think it's really important to continue to have it in our community. I've seen how it's benefited all of the girls that have chosen to be participants in the program. And I'm looking forward to maybe even being in Bakersfield when they do the state meet. So congratulations to all of you. I believe once you decide to be in the program, you're all winners. So we'll just keep moving on. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember.
I would like to say, congratulations to the Shafter Police Department outstanding scholars. Thank you for coming out and also for your hard work. Pays off. I tell you, don't give up, and make the good choices and stay focused. And the sky's the limit. Also the junior miss, I call it the junior miss, but the distinguished young women. My daughter Alexis was on the junior miss at one time. And so was my other daughter, Jessica. She participated and she got one of the awards. I really believe in that program. It's really helped my kids. Especially my daughter Jessica. She's very shy and to herself. And through the program, she was able to come outside of her, outside of that fear, and it helped her out a lot. So I do believe in that program, and I'm excited I'm grateful that we still have that, because I know time goes by and things change, and it takes a lot of help and a lot of support from the parents, and it does cost, and it's a sacrifice. So just stay strong and continue doing your best and encouraging the other ones, the ones that are sophomore, encourage them to participate. It will help them out in the long run. And I apologize for not participating. I just didn't have a chance to go home and change and do the thing, so, but I'm here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember?
Yeah, congratulations to all the SPD or Chapter PD standout scholars, my son included. You guys are doing excellent work. Keep, stay committed, keep getting good grades, keep being the leaders you are, because we're going to need them as we phase out. As you can see, we're all getting older, but we need good people in the community, and you guys are the ones that are going to take our places in the future. To DYW, great program, like the mayor mentioned. A lot of good talents out there. You guys, to me, you guys are all winners. My daughter participated in it as well. She got several of the awards when she participated in the program, but I see it brings you out of your comfort zone, builds confidence. And once you have that, sky's the limit. You can do anything you put your mind to, and that's how it works. And everybody who's been through that program will probably tell you the same thing. So congratulations and thank you.
Councilmember? Make sure you're on too.
I'd just like to say congratulations to all the award winners. And it's great to see all the family and friends show up for the events. And just the fact that we have so many young people in our city that are shining, it's a great tribute to the city. And I'm just very excited for everybody. My daughter also participated. She was a junior miss. And I remember the hard work that she went through when she would come home and she was exhausted. Then they were going to get up again early and go do another event. And it just continued on and on and on. And as she was doing it, I could see she was just totally exhausted. But when it was over, she was just like blooming with everything that it brought, the new friendships, the new connections, the camaraderie that she had with everybody else that was in her group. So thank you for all your hard work. I enjoyed the show. And for me, sitting for 3 hours and watching something, that was something, but it went by so fast and I enjoyed it so much. So congratulations for your effort, and to the award winners, and thank you.
Congratulations again to everybody, to our young people and your high scholarly efforts. Great job. I said to Jalissa earlier, I don't remember in junior high being able to get a 4.2. That's kind of impressive. I'll be honest with you, in junior high, I was hoping for probably a 3.5. So good job. Good job to each and every one of you for showing off and showing how great we all can be when you put your mind and effort to it. So congratulations. We do have one more presentation for the evening, and that is for our wonderful, she's working and getting congratulated at the same time. I don't even know what to say. Nevaeh?
Yes.
Huh?
Is she awesome?
She is awesome.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I'd like to introduce Ms. Nevaeh Cruz to you. She is our new social media relations assistant here at the city. As some of you may know, she's also the daughter of our Public Works employee Hector Cruz and his wife Elisa. Did I say that right? Elisa. Nevaeh is a Shafter native. She attended Sequoia Elementary, went on to Richland Junior High and Shafter High graduate, and just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, graduated from Bakersfield College. She plans to attend CSUB here in the coming future, and she has hit the ground running. She's been with us not even a month, and for those of you that have social media, you probably notice an increase in content. That is Nevaeh, and helping me out. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate you guys and your support. And I can tell you that she embodies what Shafter is all about. She has a love for not only her family, her church, but a big love for her community of Shafter. So I look forward to learning from her, just as I can hopefully teach her some things. So, yeah. Do you have anything to say?
Were you like 3 days employed and they threw you into Cinco de Mayo? How long had you been here? 1 day employed. The next thing I know, we're driving the car and I look over and I'm like, wow, that was really fast. And she is all up in the business
That was the
and
first question. Hey, can you work tomorrow?
social media, you'll see that in an upcoming management report, but social media is a big push for what we're doing. That we communicate with the young audience. Shafter's median age is 29.6 years old. So when you're that young, how are you communicating? Well, you've got to figure it out. And Instagram seems to, listen, my own daughter says I'm old. So I'm learning Instagram and now I'm seeing all those reels and she's like, Dad, you got to stop. It's like too much, but I will still send them because that's just what dads do. But yes, we're all learning and that's where we see ourselves going. So congratulations on being part of us.
Thank you.
Now, as much as I would love everyone to stay, and I'm not telling anyone to leave, but this is that one moment of time that if you're like, hey, you know, I don't want to stay for a council meeting, you have a chance to go. But if you want to stay and hang out, by all means, we would love to have you here. So we will wait a few seconds and if, bye babies, love you. Nevaeh, you can't leave. I'm just kidding, just kidding. This crowd files out very, very quickly. That's okay. That's okay. It really does. Okay, we will now move on. Thank you, everybody, for staying and participating with us. We're going to move into our public comment time. Public comment is for any person wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Speakers are invited to speak from the podium and address the City Council. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is needed for translation. At this time, public comment time is open. All right. I was gonna see if she's gonna hesitate or if she's just gonna go for it. Your flashlight is on, by the way.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Okay. Hello, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Gabriela Gonzalez. I am the president of the Shafter Chamber of Commerce. I'm here on behalf of the Chamber and our entire board of directors. And I'm here to talk about the Shafter Fireworks Show, everyone's favorite show.
Yes.
As you all know, the show is taking place July 3rd. And I do have some sponsorship packets for you all, so I will leave these with you. But the show has been a part of this community for over 30 years. And the Chamber is proud to continue this tradition. Over the years, the show has actually morphed into something greater than we could all have imagined. We get visitors from all over Kern County, and I think the Shafter Chamber also thinks that it's really the best show in Kern County. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you and bring to your attention today is the cost of the show. And I don't think we've ever shared that with the council. And so prior to COVID, the show would cost us around $12,000. Now, this year, the show is going to cost us about $29,000. I want to emphasize that we rely heavily on the larger corporations surrounding the city of Shafter to provide those sponsorship dollars. Because the fact of the matter is many of our members do not have the means to do a sponsorship for $2,500. Many of the members are the only thing that they can afford is to pay their membership dues. And so we heavily rely on the organizations, the corporations surrounding this city. And we begin to fundraise for this event early on in the year. The board dedicates countless hours to ensure that this show is successful, and many of us drag our families to help not only set up, but clean up afterwards, because as you know, we have to leave the park intact. And so I learned that at the last city council meeting that there was a motion on the floor to provide funding, and that the motion died because no one seconded the motion. And I'm here to kindly ask you to reconsider. We believe that the Shafter Fireworks Show benefits the city of Shafter far more than it benefits the chamber. The chamber does not make any money off of this show. We basically just break even, so we just fundraise for the cost of the show. The dollars that we fundraise go directly to pay for the show, but we continue to put in the work because we believe that this is a staple of Shafter, and we believe that this brings joy to our city and the people that we serve. We know that the show brings revenue to local businesses because we have thousands of visitors come from all over Kern County, visitors that are spending dollars by visiting local businesses. So again, we urge you to reconsider supporting the show. And if you cannot give a monetary contribution, then we would love for you to at least show up to the show, bring your families, and show that support for the chamber. Mayor, I know you join us every year, so thank you. We hope to see you and your family again this year. So I just wanted to say thank you. We appreciate your time to go on record and address this issue, and we hope that you reconsider. I will leave this with the city clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment time? Okay, with that said, public comment time is closed. Okay, council announcements and reports. Mr. Espinoza.
Sunday, the 12th of May was Mother's Day. I'd like to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. On Wednesday, the 15th was Police Officers Memorial Day. So I'd like to recognize that, or Peace Officers Memorial Day. On Thursday, no, that was Friday, the 17th, I attended the grand opening for the ribbon cutting for the Italy's Balloon Bar. And it's down closer towards 5 Points. And it's a nice little shop. It's got all the balloons that you could think of. And they're a brand new business starting out. And I'd like to see them do very well. And I wish them all the luck. And on Saturday, we took off to Las Vegas for the ICSC Las Vegas convention. And I think I'm going to leave that to you, Mayor, to explain a little bit more, because it was my first visit and it was a huge, huge convention. It was to the point to where if you thought you were going to walk it in 2.5 days, that wasn't going to happen. You kind of had to zero in on it and know who you were going to meet with and what you were going to talk about. And then you had to be quick because they were booked out throughout the whole day with different meetings with different people. So you couldn't show up early. You'd have to show up right at your appointment time. And then you had probably a good 12 to 15 minutes to pitch your line. And then you were off and going to the next one. But that's all I have to report.
Okay. Councilmember?
All right, so same as Councilmember Pete Espinoza mentioned, we were at ICSC this weekend, left on Saturday. We just got back yesterday evening. Like you said, it was a full schedule. I understand it's Vegas. There was no fun in it, besides the fact that we were walking around and talking to people and trying to bring in our, pitch our city and get them over here. But it was nothing about gambling. I think the only gambling we did was the mayor on the way out did it so we could pay for an Uber. And he won some money, so we did good there. But other than that, all jokes aside, it was a very I think it was a good conference for us to attend. It's our second year. Last year when we went, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. We did have a consultant that was guiding us. He kind of showed us and guided us and told us where we needed to go, set up some appointments for us. This year, We were a lot better prepared. We had a lot more information and we could see the difference in these brand name, what would you call them?
National brand.
National brand retailers. The people that were representing them, I mean, they would turn around. We were talking to them, oh, you have that information. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, here's the information on who you need to contact to get this going. So it was really well, but I'm sure the mayor will touch on a lot more details on that, but it was really, really, really good. So that's all I have. Thank you.
You forgot the 31,000 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had 40,000, but I think we're okay. Yeah, my feet still feel it.
Councilmember Alvarado.
I just want to pretty much echo what they've all said, but there's one thing that, you know, I've learned, and sometimes we that don't know much from the outside looking in, we ask ourselves, why isn't there a Walmart here? Why isn't there a Sam's Club or Costco's or Winco? You know, we all want those things, but sometimes it takes, there's a list of things that you have to qualify in order for them to even consider your town. And so that was one thing that, you know, not knowing, you always wonder, why this town doesn't have a Winco or something big, you know, some kind of national brand. But it goes to that, you know, population, and there's just a whole bunch of criteria for those big companies to come into your town, rooftops and stuff like that. So, but it was just something that I've learned and at the conference, and it was something interesting. And it is a fast-paced conference. That was my first rodeo, to say, but I think if I get the chance again, I think I'll be more prepared as an individual. But that's all I have to report.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, well, as you know, I wasn't at the ICSA, but I appreciate the report that you've given, and I realize that some of you did go last year, and will continue to work for our benefits in Shafter, and I believe that with some patience and all, you'll see some changes coming about. On the 13th of May, 13th of May, which was a Monday, I was on Zoom with AB 617, and there were several things that were important for our area because some of the projects were approved by the Valley Air Board that will benefit Shafter in a great way. One of them had to do with vehicle replacements. There's $6 million allocated for Shafter, which will allow about 300 vehicles to be purchased at $20,000 each that will benefit some of our families that qualify and want to use part of those funds towards a new vehicle. Also, a big win was the Shafter bike path and road paving that will benefit within the community. And some of us have heard about it before, as well as out at the Mexican La Colonia. And so we will be prepared, and I know our staff's been working on it for locally here too, and that'll be another big improvement. Also, vegetative barriers, and those are trees or shrubs that are planted along certain areas to reduce the flow of dirt, which produces bad air quality. And so Laredo Highway is one place that Wonderful put in many trees. They took out their own almond trees, one row, and then they've planted oleanders in the spot. The only sad part of it is the people were stopping. I don't know how many were stolen, but I understand that several of those were stolen, so they've had to replant, which is totally against what we are in trying to help Shafter as well as our whole area in controlling of dust. So if you see anybody along these roads, it's not just Laredo Highway, but other Burbank 7 Standard has planted some too. So be aware and see if we can stop some of that. Also, there was a consideration for switching or changing some monies to more low dust nut harvesters. And it's still being held. There was no decision made exactly to do that, but the low dust harvesters are a considerable amount, and yet it can reduce about 50 tons of PM 2.5. And I think it's most important that we somehow continue to help the farmers so that it offsets their cost to buy one of these harvesters. They're pretty expensive You can buy them up to 200,000, and of course, you're only allowed a percentage. And so that will come up again to see if we can shift some money to allow another $1 million for 10 additional harvesters that will help the air, not just like across the street from me, but that helps an area in general because this dust just flows throughout. Okay, then I'm going to move on to went to KernCog. No, I didn't go. I was on Zoom, which is going to come to an end here pretty soon too. But KernCog had some discussion with our roundabout because Caltrans has been responsible for the design and Shafter is working on the right of way. And it's really important that all of that starts to come together so that we can get consideration from high-speed rail when that happens in the future, in the distant future, so that it will tie in with the plan of the roundabout that is at the intersection of 43 where Beach connects along Santa Fe. So that's something we need to keep watching, and we are working with everyone to see about making those switches, which in turn has to be approved by the authority for the high-speed rail. Also, it was really a pleasure to get myself down to the grand opening ribbon cutting for the Italy's Balloon Bar. Totally excited when we turned around and walked in the place because it's the ideal setup for what they have with the balloon display and some little gift items that they will certainly try to expand on, but all kinds of colors, all kinds of setups. It reminded me of a candy store. I mean, you walk in and here's all this opportunity of what you can do and creative ways that you can build balloons. And so I hope that the press and everyone that has participated can continue to provide positive input so that we can at least use these specialty shops that benefit our people here in our own community. So it was fun to be there, and I'm hoping by the next meeting that I will be live and see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. Has been a lot going on in the last few weeks. One thing that I didn't hear mentioned was the tree planting that took place at Veterans Park.
That's right too.
Had a really good group of folks who turned out, some service clubs who came out. I saw some Kiwanians out there. I don't know if I saw Rotarians. I don't know if that's how you say it. I don't know, but I didn't see Rotarians. Lions Club showed up in full force, and so that was great to see Gilbert and all of them out there. How many trees were planted?
25.
Okay, she knows. 25. So that was a really, really cool turnout, just to get to see everyone come together and do that work. Although I will say, I think they cheated a little bit. They had the Mini X out there who could have just backfilled everything for us, but neither here nor there. I guess we're told to use our hands, so that'll work. Italy's Balloon Bar, a really good little spot to have that set up. It was a nice little event for everyone to be a part of. So very much excited to see additional growth here in the city, whether large or small, whether national or local, it doesn't matter, but someone's willing to be an entrepreneur, and that matters the most. So good to see the family that turned out and good to see them getting prepared for that. Yeah, ICSC is quite extensive. Gus and I mean, we did the shock and all last year when we walked through the doors and had to sit there for a second and go, don't know if we know what we just got ourselves into. And I believe with the push and the drive that we decided to do last year in regards to economic development, it spurred us as a council and as a city to do some really unique things, not just ICSC, but the push for a strategic plan and what that means, right? Economic development isn't just about how to get the next commercial business in here, but it is about how do we grow and be sustainable as a community and do it in a safe, inviting environment where families, friends, relatives can enjoy their time here. And how do we do that? And how do we strategically plan the city for the future? Because right now I feel like we've been, I'm gonna use the word past tense, static, and living off the blessings of our past, which is great, but what are we looking at for our future children, the legacy that comes out? So when you go to a conference like this, 40,000, I guess, is the estimated number of attendees, by the way. Last year was 27,000. So if it helps you to know, there was that much more happening. when you go to an event like this and you look around, Geo, our economic development analyst, had made a comment about, well, is all you guys looking at is just, you know, the sales tax generation? And I said, no, Geo, doesn't work like that. We care about every aspect of it because we want people to work where they live and we want people to play where they live, right? And so if you spend local, work local, that matters. You don't have, you can use the bike paths that Mayor Pro Tem is talking about, the walking paths to get from point A to point B, and it's all locally sourced, locally done here. And that doesn't just happen because you go and you look at the next, you know, KFC or Panda Express and what's going to come from something along those lines. You go because you're looking at what's the next global impact that's going to happen here to allow the tens of thousands of people to continue working in this city, in the logistics trade and the agriculture trade. You know, you go from a city that's 80% plus agriculture, and now we're at 40% agriculture because of the growth that's happening in our logistics center, and that's incredible. But that doesn't happen because, you know, 6 people show up at a conference. You know, we're small goldfish in a very, very large pond, and there's 40,000 people, and everyone's telling their same story. That's, if you didn't catch anything out of the last 4 days, the question has to become is, what story are we telling? Because if we don't tell Shafter's story, who's going to tell it? And we need to be the ones to be able to tell that story and let people know who we are, why we are unique, why we are special. Why do we continue to be the 5th fastest growing city in the state of California? Why are we the safest community in Kern County, one of the safest in California? Why are we getting the opportunities that we have? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we have, and I'm looking at all the staff in the room, we have incredible staff. We have people who care deeply about this community. From something as someone could say as simple as trimming a tree or putting a post on social media, to running a library and a learning center that actually doesn't exist in California unless you're in the 93263 area code, who's getting ready to expand and go have 2 of these branches, right? That's because we have a staff who cares so much and so deeply with officers, that you have officers sitting here giving education awards out and who are showing themselves at the events and being a part of it. From a staff who's looking at developing and planning and saying, okay, what's my next step? How are we bringing these houses in and how do we keep this thing pushing, to a building department who, I don't know how Dennis knows, but he knows. Dennis, I see you on here, but that guy probably knows the CBC better than anyone else. I wouldn't be surprised he writes the next edition. To a public works team who is incredible to watch because they care, from the streets that are being poured and done, to just going to First Fridays and watching the staff run around like crazy, like, we're going to make this look great. It's going to be awesome. And no one's complaining. At least I don't hear the complaint. That's why we're able to go into this one moment and walk up to a booth who's going to tell us no. By the way, Councilmember Espinosa says 12 to 14 minutes. It's more like 12 to 14 seconds. You get told no right away. Because why? We've got to tell our story. And once you get the chance to talk about who you are and why we are a little differently. Last year we learned, this year we're learning more, next year's going to be even better. But it starts to teach us more about who we are as a person, who we are as a community, because it's not just an individual, but it's a community and a family who comes together. And that's what's incredible about those moments, is it's not us talking about economic development, but it's us talking about all the incredible things each and every one of you have done and continue to do. And that's special. And I think you're going to hear a whole lot more of that coming up. I think we learned a whole lot more this round because we were able to dig in a little bit deeper. And maybe staff's going to sit there and go, man, you guys are crazy. Now I have more work in front of me. Steve, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have a whole lot more work in front of you. But you probably even want to embrace that, right? That's the intention. Because now as these things start to come up and show their faces to us, now we get a chance to say, hey, how do we develop this community to where they're going to work, play, and live all in the same place and be happy about it and be safe about it. So again, this isn't about what we were able to do. This is honestly what this staff, what this body has been able to do over the course of the last few years to really turn things around and really dig in deep. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible to sit there and watch that. So kudos to everybody. You'll hear more about it as it coming in. Yes, we did get some, I would say, right next to having the signed paper happen, we have some really cool opportunities coming in front of us. So maybe this time next year, we'll look at the strategic plan and say, hey, we can check off that really crazy one that we talked about that day. And everyone thought I was nuts when I said 10. You guys broke it down to 5, whatever. 5 is gonna happen. It's going to happen faster than you thought. So really excited for what's coming up. And again, thank you, council who showed up. Thank you guys for participating with it. I know it comes at you fast. They're going to ask a question in the moment and you have to kind of sit there and go, how do I answer that? How do I get through that? And when it's your first time, it's hard to do. When it's your second time, it's hard to do. But thank you to each and every one of you for participating and working through this. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I promise, no more talking. Let's get into this. Consent calendar for the evening. Tonight, we have 8 items on our consent calendar. I will read through these briefly. Number 1, approving the general checks. Number 2, approving payroll. Number 3, approving the overtime report. Number 4, approve the special event permit for First Fridays. That is June 14th, 2024. If you didn't know, I'm excited. Number 5, approve the construction plans and contract documents for the Learning Center office remodel project. Number 6, approve the construction plans and contract documents for the City Hall and Veterans Hall door replacement project, much needed, by the way. Number 7, accept the public improvements constructed for track 7346 Phase 3 and file a notice of completion and acceptance of the work and authorize the release of performance bond securities to 25% of their original value. And last but not least, item number 8, adopt resolution 2964, authorizing the federal funding under FTA section 5311 with the California Department of Transportation for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. Questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion for approval, please.
I move we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Proud, a second by Councilmember Olvera. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Prout,
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, we're moving into our management report items. There are 9 items on tonight's docket. We will start with item number 1, the discussion of proposal by the Shafter Press for advertising and promotion services in the amount of $25,000.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, by way of background, this is the second time the Shafter Press has made this present proposal to the city of Shafter. Their proposal basically entails for the city to contract with the Shafter Press for advertising promotion services on their website and in their newspaper. The first time around, back in 2022, that was right around COVID. The newspaper decided not to pursue that any further with the city because they applied for COVID relief money. And so they were successful in obtaining some funding from the COVID program, so they were able to stay in business. They recently approached city staff again with the same proposal because, again, the newspaper, as you can imagine, a lot of people are no longer reading the paper. Advertisement, which is one of the main sources of funding for newspapers, has decreased because everything has moved towards social media to electronic advertisement, basically. By way of example, not just the Shafter Press, but if you look at Bakersfield Californian, these two went from like a half-inch paper daily. Now it's like barely a few pages. So Shafter Press is not unique in that regard. So they came up with a creative idea to which they would propose. My understanding is that City of Wasco was also approached with a similar proposal. And so what they're basically proposing is social media content, advertisement on their newspapers. But I want to have our city community engagement manager, Rachel, provide more detail on that. So Rachel.
Can you hear me?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council, once again. As City Manager Gonzalez mentioned, Yasmina, can you move to the next slide, please? Shafter Wasco proposal for advertising and city promotion. They are offering for $25,000 annually, full page in their paper every other week. Assistance with producing city content, news, features, and calendars. And then a midsection of their website, and then plan expansion to Facebook and Instagram. Next slide, please. Based on what the Shafter Wasco Publishing is offering the city, I feel that, or I know that we are doing that and more. Not only are they offering a full page every other week, we are pushing out content in real time. They are offering us assistance with creating city content. We are doing that in-house. And as far as the website, we have our own website where we also push information out to the community. And the last item is plan expansion of Facebook and Instagram. As I move forward in the slides, you'll see that not only have we increased that, that is all also being done here in-house. In 2021, after we did our first community survey in partnership with CSUB, you guys recall, I know at the time, Gus, you weren't here at that time, but we did a community-wide survey on various topics, one being communication. We had over 90 residents participate in that survey. And at the end of the survey, the recommendations from CSUB students was the community was pretty much happy with how city government was running. And their recommendation was to increase community engagement and social media presence. So as we moved along, we did that in August of 21, same year as that first survey, and created a communication and engagement plan. And in that plan, as many of you guys know, a lot of cities are starting to develop their community engagement and communication departments within their cities. We began to strengthen our social media platforms and providing content to citizens in real time. In doing this with the newspaper, it's a week late, sometimes a little longer. So social media and strengthening that in-house has increased communication with the community. It's provided transparency. We get customers and citizen feedback, residents, businesses contacting us, whether if it's on our feed, by email, sometimes privately on Messenger. And I think that's all to go back to, we're pushing the content out. They know they can contact us at any moment notice to get an answer. And if we don't have that answer at that moment, we will get them the answer depending on what the topic is. We've also promoted our city services and events on our social media pages. So whether it's a road closure, if it's something the police department is needing to push out to the community, a project that Public Works is working on, a promotion of our city services like Code Red and Voice Cloud. We're using social media to push all that different types of information out to our citizens. And then lastly, or two more, sorry, the generation resident demographics. We're reaching all generations from 18 years old and up. And another thing we were doing in the past was we were sending all printed content out to print, and we're doing that in-house. But we are also utilizing our utility bill system to share our content through that system for a lot cheaper cost. So those are some of the things that we established when we created the plan. Next slide. Just on our social media presence, as you can see, back in December of 2020, when I took over our social media platforms, we had just on Facebook 4,700 followers. We now have 7,700. That's gone up in the 3-4 years, 163% in followers. We look over at Instagram. When I took over, it was 1,500, little over 1,500. We now have 4,200, and that's increased just in a couple weeks since I brought Nevaeh on. If you look at the audience, and on Facebook, 68% of our audience is women, 32% are men. If you look over at Instagram, 65% are women, 35% are men. And our age has changed. I know maybe about a year ago, I mentioned to the mayor that Instagram was increasing and it has, the followers have increased, but it was a lot younger age. We were looking at 18 to 24. Well, as you can see, our followers now on Instagram are 25 to 44, and they're higher than our younger generation. Same thing with Facebook. It's changed. Are they the same ones? I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to figure that out. But it's changing, it's evolving, it's growing, and it's working for the city of Shafter. Moving forward, some of the initiatives that we have underway, as we brought on Nevaeh, we started to design a social media content calendar. So we're planning a month in advance. What are we gonna push out? What are we promoting this month? So we're working on that. Our goal is to increase our followers. The mayor's constantly saying, we need to increase our followers, we need to increase our followers. That is one of our goals. The city also has a city YouTube page. We don't use it to the full capacity. We use it to stream these meetings. But a goal moving forward is to increase that presence on YouTube, and use it to its full capacity. Also continue to promote Code Red, not just Code Red, but all of our city services, Civic Rec, Invoice Cloud. So anything coming forward, we're gonna be working on not the housing element, general plan amendment. So continuing to use social media for all those different projects. And then another goal is to add more platforms. So add Nextdoor, take on that platform, take on Twitter. Pete, your eyes are bugging out. He's getting scared. So add more platforms, reach more people. Not all citizens are on the same platform. We have a huge presence. We don't, but there is a huge community in Nextdoor, and we hear about it through other avenues. So I think it's very important that we get on those platforms as well. And then increase our video content. So not just with our city projects, but our community event. Many of you probably seen the video that we did of Cinco de Mayo. That is not our event, but we were there in support of Cinco de Mayo and to capture those moments and to share it with the community. And we get feedback from people that grew up here, that used to live here, and they're able to see that in real time because we're capturing that for the community. So, and then lastly, implement our first ever branding strategy. So we are currently still working on our branding project. And so once that is finished and complete, that will be more to come. So with that, do you have any questions?
So I'll be clear. You mentioned me a couple times there, and yes, I do push pretty hard when it comes to social media. We sat here, we had this conversation all the ways back. We sat here, I think, Councilmember Alvarado, it was like 6 years ago, and we talked about this specifically. It was pre-COVID, and we talked about how are we engaging our community? Do people hear what we're saying? Because as you can clearly see, for presentations, we had 60+ people. For regular council meetings, we have like 3. And that's one of the things where you start to look at and going, are we sharing the information? And then you ask yourself, I know you're looking around. Is there 3? I'm going to count you as one of them, David. Then you start asking yourself, are we sharing the information on the paper, which we do, sort of. They get shared, and that information gets out there, but it's happening once a week after the fact. So how are we getting this information out? We talked about it. We got the CSUB surveys, and again, great surveys, but the one thing that kept coming up was how are we engaging our community? How are we discussing these things with our community? Social media can be a positive and a negative. I understand that. You can sit here and tell me it's a negative thing. We share a lot of information. I understand that. But if used in the right manner, it's such a positive tool to engage your community and to really share real-time information. And that is critical. I'm going to ask you a question. So this last week, as we're going around trying to figure out what things do we really need to capture, if we have meetings with these folks, which ones do we really, 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 really need to get an answer on? So we asked, can you give us a poll? And you went out for that poll. The last poll you did, how many people responded?
I think we were over 500 people.
And that was in a matter of about 2 hours. So we get real-time information that she's sharing back with us saying, here's what everyone's looking for. And we're taking that information and saying, because we asked ourselves at one point, are we sure we're going in the right direction? And we sat down and said, well, here's what the poll is saying. Residents are telling us this. So we have a clear direction that if we're making real-time decisions, we're making them with the residents in mind. That's a powerful tool. It is a very powerful tool. And yes, we've got to increase the use of that tool. I know you don't like hearing that all the time. We're not where we need to be, but we're getting so much better. And to say that we would look at the press to do this for us, we're leaps and bounds above what the press is going to offer us and be capable of doing. I just don't see the necessity to go down the road and spend the money on the press to do this. I would question it more than anything else. So I'll leave it at that. Council, Mayor Pro Tem.
I would probably be remiss not to say anything because through the years, we've had to make changes, and it's not just with social media, but you can see what's happening everywhere. It's not just Shafter, it's not just Kern County, and it's not just California. I mean, you have to understand how we're changing, and COVID really brought it to a head. It changed, it made people look at how some of the changes in what we could do, and we're not always comfortable with it. And, and I think, gosh, we need to have that print. We need to have that opportunity for somebody, because not everybody does social media, but it's making us accept those changes that we have to believe is the right way and is the only way to go. Yeah, and so it kind of hurts to think that we can't continue to invest in it. But I think a lot of the decisions we've made in the past and where it's put our city is even most important today, that we look at our future. And our future is dictating many, many more big changes that are going to benefit us, because we are ready. We are ready to accept that. And I know our staff, I've always said we've got some really good staff. We had good staff that stuck with us, and we brought on some new people that are, want to be part of what we're going to plan on doing. And it's another change. And the city manager and I have talked often about it, because we're being forced, and yet we're going to have to make those changes. And somehow the press might hang in there for a while, but I think what we've done up to date has already benefited us, and we need to continue to grow it. I mean, some of these increases, even that our staff mentioned here, is what we need to continue to support and get our people to look more into social media. It's faster, takes less time, it's a highlight, and then you move on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm one of those that if I do see a newspaper, I'll pick it up and read it. And it's just out of habit, because that's kind of the way. And
That's what we did.
When I was young, that's what we did, right?
Yeah.
And I'll do it and pick it up and read it. But I think the times have changed, like everybody's mentioning here. And I think it's all about real time. People want to know what's happening right now. And if it happened yesterday, that's past, we're moving on. And I think we as a city need to adjust to that, and be able to, continue to move forward so that our community understands what's going on. With the example that the mayor just mentioned, while being in Vegas, we have a list of businesses that we're contacting for 2 days, and it's every 30 minutes. And so we're sitting there thinking, and one of the breaks is like, okay, what do we push? Is that going to be the right thing to bring to Shafter? So, hey, let's do a real quick survey. And man, we started getting the numbers coming back and the voting, what they wanted. And like, okay, we're on the right track. And so we continue to move in that direction. And if we know that we're not, then we can say, okay, if we're with a national brand that's telling us no, maybe we're going to be a little bit more insistent so that we can get that door to open. And that's what guides us. And I think that's what benefits us the best. And I think that's what's going to make Shafter continue to grow. So that's just my take. I think we're doing the right thing as we are now.
I think we need to stay up with real time. The Shafter Press is every other week versus being able to get information out on a real time basis. And I'm the last person that needs to be talking about Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. I'm on my wife's Facebook page, but I can see the benefit of being able to have it real time versus waiting for the newspaper. But I think we need to stay with real time.
Anything to add to this, sir?
Just the only thing I just want to say is that Rachel, you're doing a good job. Thank you. I see things popping up at midnight and different times of the, are you working at that time? I wasn't sure it was something, how that works, but, thank you for,
I'm guilty as charged and I'm constantly being told, but, thank you for noticing that because we do get messages at all hours.
yeah.
I mean, especially from our community that it's working out at WIP and they're driving home and they see something, they message us. So yeah, we get messages and questions and feedback at all hours. And, you know, it's very important to me that we respond.
No, I appreciate that, and I wasn't sure how this was working. So she's up, or what? You know? So I was gonna say, are you on 24 hours? You're like a PD. So
And we assist the PD
Yeah.
and, you know, we've had a conversation today. You know, they had a person that was manning their social media and, I helped them. I
Mhm.
helped the PD. We don't mind. I don't mind. Now I have Nevaeh. It's a lot easier having a second body because she has taken on a lot of the throughout the day stuff, you know, and it's been very helpful just in these past couple weeks, but, yes, we don't want to lose that presence. And if we start to ignore the residents on social media, we will lose it. We will lose them.
So I just want to mention that. Thank you very much for your hard work, and I was just some stuff I wasn't too clear if you were up 24 hours or how that worked, but hey, thank you. Thank you, and I know you do a lot of good Photoshop or crop, I say crop people in. So I'm expecting to be cropped in some of these photos.
No, I've already been asking for that. Come on, Gilbert.
Thank you very much.
And you know what? We work hard to make it correct. The social media has to be correct. I mean, it comes out fast and it's there and you better have it correct. And we've been having a good record with it. And I think that's where we have to keep focusing. And then people will make that change because they know it's accurate.
And Mayor Pro Tem, she made a good point, you know, not everyone has social media and, hopefully you all got my email today. We did an interview with Channel 23 and I just checked it is up. I haven't watched it, but it's up. But one thing that sparked my attention when they interviewed Nevaeh was, you know, what are your thoughts of, you know, not everyone has social media. And she said, you know, my parents are older and not as active on social media as I am. And she goes, and grandparents, a lot of them don't have social media. But it's important to know that someone knows someone with social media. And in her eyes, you know, if she's able to see something that's important to someone else, she can share it, knowing that they don't have social media. So she feels that you don't need to just have social media to be informed. People are sharing it and you can screenshot it and send it to someone else just by, hey, you know, did you know about this? Or, you know, so that was something very interesting that, you know, she's a lot younger and thinks a lot different. But once I thought about it, I was like, well, yeah, you know, you don't have to have social media to be in the know. You know, somebody will share the information with you.
Our State of the City address or the video that was shared, there was a lot of outside state folks who got a hold of that.
Yeah.
And the one comment I continued to hear was, I remember that. I remember seeing that. I remember that. Wow, I didn't know where Shafter was headed to. That's a really cool moment to see, and we're getting to share that. I know I told you the other day, YouTube's got to be a massive push because we're missing it. We're missing a large audience and a large opportunity, and that's where videos like that get shared to. And so it's incredible to see the support. You may get a negative comment, that happens, but you're gonna see 10 positives to each negative or 100 positives really to each negatives, and that's okay. Because we need to understand both sides of that. So very excited for where we're headed to. My question now is, are we motioning to, I gotta make sure I understand the motion. So the motion is to not approve said topic. So if we motion to not approve, is that what that we're doing, or are we just letting it go? I gotta make sure I read
So,
this right.
I don't think you need to take any action if you're gonna forego the request. However, if you do want to entertain it, we would have to bring back the actual contract with all the terms that provide you with the benefits that they are making an offer on. So
Okay.
if you want to pass on that, I don't think there's a motion is needed. You just don't take any action.
I just wanted to make sure, because the recommendation was to forego it, and so I'm like, well, do I have the motion to forego it? So I needed to make sure I understood. Okay.
I think the appropriate thing would be, if there's somebody who wants to make a motion to bring this back to get the contract approved,
Okay.
that would be the appropriate motion.
So I guess the right question to ask council, is anyone looking to motion this to bring it back to actually go down the road in a contract? Okay, I'm hearing none, so that will forego this. And I think as difficult as a comment as a moment as it is, because each of us, Pete, you and I have probably been in Shafter the longest. I mean, I've grown up around the Shafter Press. This is hard to swallow, right? Because I don't want to see that die off. I really don't. I remember the fire. I remember that whole moment. I used to sit there as a kid and go through all of those papers thinking it was great. I love the nostalgic of it. I remember the old editors. I remember every piece of it. It's great. I don't want to see it fail, but I also recognize that it would not be wise of us fiscally to invest in it from our point of view. So I'll leave it at that.
I want you to know that you aren't the oldest guys that have been around here, and you didn't mention it about me, but anyway, yeah.
You're not a
Just
day
remember-
over 43?
Yeah, well, and you know what? It was very, very important then. That was the only media we had. That's why I questioned social media as the only way. But you see the trend isn't there. And it's not just Shafter and it's not just California. You're seeing it everywhere. You
Yes.
just have to find other ways. It's the same way with being a sponsor of something. I mean, you gotta sell it in a way that it's up and coming. And keeping the old way isn't always the answer. You know, and it hurts. It hurts really bad because I've worked closely with the press many, many, many years. And I've always supported them, you know, and now I'm at the point where I'm saying, okay, we got a lot of work cut out for us, but we've made progress and we've shown that it can work. And I think, but I haven't heard and seen the interview, but comments that came from staff, I mean, it tells you exactly. They're understanding exactly what we're pushing out there, guys. I mean, that's the policy. That's just our deal. So for right now, that's the way I see we have to go.
Well, I remember being younger and on the Tuesdays that the Shafter Press would be for sale, we would go down there, a whole bunch of group of us and everything, and we would sell them for 25 cents a paper. And then they would give us an area and then we'd go out there and sell the papers, bring the money back and get more papers and go back out again. We used to make a nickel a paper.
Yeah.
Sell them for 25 cents. And back then, money was money. And so that was a good way for us to raise some pocket change and everything. So yeah, the Shafter Press brings back a lot of fond memories.
But you look at Pete, today they give the paper free. Now you can get a free paper.
All right, we're gonna move on, folks. All right, so that's not item number one. Item number two, adoption of resolution clarifying reportable compensation to the California Public Employees Retirement System, otherwise known as CalPERS, for floating holidays and holiday pay for non-represented employees. Sir.
So, Mayor and Council, our HR manager, Carol Travoyo, make the next three staff reports, items number 2, 3, and 4. That's related to the same item. So she'll give one staff report, and we'll read it for the record because it does involve PERS, but it's all related to the same matter on it. So with that,
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and council members of the Shafter City Council, as our city manager mentioned, the next three staff reports pertain to the same matter, but it's different bargaining groups. So I'll take care of everything in one discussion. So recently, CalPERS brought into question the city's reporting practices for floating holidays and holiday pay. The practice is to report floating holidays as 8 hours of base pay, Holiday pay is reported as 8 hours of base pay for the holiday and time and a half for any hours worked during the holiday. The pay rate for the hours worked during the holiday includes the base pay plus any hourly equivalent of certain special pay such as longevity pay, bilingual incentives, and so on. In order for CalPERS to honor the city's practice, they are requesting that the city add clear and precise language to the MOUs and resolution codifying the practice for holiday compensation. They also seek clarification that floating holidays are not reportable as compensation, but may be reported as earnings. Staff met with the labor groups as well as CalPERS, and all parties have agreed to the terms specified in the side letter agreements and resolution that are before the council today for ratification and approval. Key points addressed in the side letter agreements and resolution include clarification that floating holidays are not reportable to CalPERS as special compensation. However, they may be reported as earnings. Clarification that the regular rate of pay for the purpose of holiday compensation includes base pay plus the hourly equivalent of certain special pays. There are no alternatives to the recommended action because the amendments to the MOUs and resolutions are consistent with the direction given by CalPERS. If we don't follow the direction, then we lose, the employees will lose the benefits. I am requesting that the city council ratify the side letter agreements with SPOA and SEIU, as well as approve the resolution number 2965. Once ratified and approved, the side letter agreements and resolution will not only address the concerns raised by CalPERS, but also ensure that the city can continue to report the base pay plus the hourly equivalent of certain special pay for holiday compensation. Additionally, floating holidays may be reported as earnings, providing a clear and transparent system of reporting. This will be beneficial to all parties. I'm available to answer any questions that council may have regarding these matters.
Okay, council, questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, seeing none, here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to read all three of the titles. And then with that, we'll do one motion for all three items on the management report, okay? So this will be for items 2, 3, and 4. Item number 2, adoption of resolution clarifying reportable compensation to the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, for floating holidays and holiday pay for non-represented employees. Item number 3 is the approval of the side letter agreement with the City of Shafter and the Shafter Public Works Unit of the Service Employee International Union, Local 521, that is the SEIU-L 521, clarifying reportable compensation to the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, for floating holidays and holiday pay. And lastly, item number 4 is the approval of the side letter agreement with the City of Shafter and the Shafter Police Officers Association, SPOA, clarifying reportable compensation to the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, for floating holiday and holiday pay. This is requesting a motion and a second for all three items.
Would that be under resolution 29665?
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2965.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a,
That is a motion for 2, 3, and 4.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Alvarado and a second from Councilmember Olvera for management report items 2, 3, and 4. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Prout,
Yes,
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Thank you very much for that, folks. I appreciate that. Moving on to item number 5 is the approval of proposed schedule and budget for the first Friday dates and expenses. Sir?
Certainly, Mayor and Council, this relates to the downtown community events, and our Community Services Director, David, will make the presentation just as a follow-up too. He also has the next item, item number 6, related to the library. David?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. This is coming to you as a recommendation from the Downtown Committee. First Fridays, as you know, was launched in 2023 to attract residents and visitors to downtown Shafter and support local business and foster family-centered community events. The feedback from the community has been overwhelmingly positive, and we have currently 3 events scheduled for the 2024 calendar year, June 14th, August 2nd, and September 6th. And went ahead and trying to what's becoming an increasingly crowded social calendar in Shafter. We wanted to get 2025 on the books so that we could nail down the first Fridays keeping with the name, and also allow other events to plan around this. And so those dates are April 4th, June 6th, April 1st, September 5th, and October 3rd. I've prepared an estimate of the in-kind labor costs that are specific to hourly employees, and an estimate of cash expenses based on previous last year's actual expenses. These amounts are within what's budgeted for community promotion, and so no budget action is required, but this is for the schedule and budget approval from the council. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, very good. Council, questions, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, I'm going to look for a motion in a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, a second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Prout,
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Olvera.
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, and smart move getting on 2025 calendar. I like being ahead of the game. Very nice.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is the discussion and direction on the Shafter Learning Center assessment and future collaboration, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. This is coming to you as a recommendation from the Education Committee. In June 2023, City Council directed staff to conduct an assessment of the Shafter Learning Center's effectiveness. The scope of that was to review class participation data, to interaction with school leadership, local school leadership, and evaluate outreach effectiveness. So the assessment is included in the agenda packet that came out of that work. The key findings are that there's a broad reach. The Learning Center has a broad reach, effectively reaching across school communities and geographic communities, and that students from all local schools participate at comparable rates, particularly considering proximity to the facility. So for example, our lowest participation in terms of a K-6 school is Sequoia, which is the most distant school from the center. Following up on that work, there were some initial discussions with the Council Education Committee, which met with school leaders and other education leaders locally on December 20th in 2023. And at that meeting, Richland identified District Librarian Leslie Jarrett as a key point person for promoting literacy and working with the Learning Center. And another outcome of that meeting was the formation of a advisory committee to meet regularly with Library and Learning Center staff to make sure that we're sharing information and identifying opportunities for further coordination. That meeting, or that group met on April 17th to share updates, and the presentation from that meeting is also attached in the packet for the council agenda. So this analysis provides us with some baseline data that we can use in the future to evaluate our progress and changes in the effectiveness of the Learning Center. And it also provides, the advisory council provides a platform for ongoing collaboration and work with our local schools. So the advisory committee is scheduled to meet twice a year, and staff will continue to collect data and update the council through existing reporting channels and periodic reviews of the larger assessment that is conducted. And this is an item that is for discussion and direction. So with that, I'd open it up to any questions.
Council?
Yeah, I have one, just curious, because I was looking at the participation rate. Is there any plans to like try and improve some of these numbers? Like, for example, I know the challenges at the junior high, right? And it's down at 5%. I see Redwood and I can kind of tell, well, obviously, if you have younger students, they're going to be there for different reasons. But, if there's any ideas that may be putting to work to get that increase, to any incentives to get them there, to hook them to go there, to try and improve that and help the junior high with their, the students there and improve their academic skills and level, anything like that.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the question. The junior high or junior high age level has been a challenge for us for many years. That said, we keep trying new things, and some things work, some things don't. So for example, in the library, we know that graphic novels and manga are very popular in that age group. We have worked very hard to recruit requests and solicit requests from that group. I think relationships with teachers is also very important. So one of the challenges that we identified, and in fact, Irene Montoya was responsible for identifying this, is that our social media is outstanding at connecting with parents, and parents of young children have a lot of control over what their young children do. As students get older, they hit that junior high area. It's connecting with the parents does not always equal connecting with the students. And so what Irene, her response to that was to work with the teachers directly. And so she came out with a newsletter to make sure that all of our teachers had the information about the classes that are offered at the Learning Center, and had the opportunity to hopefully, if they could identify, it's like another voice, another adult voice who might recommend to a student to attend those programs. So it's something we're working at, and we're always kind of working at trying to create a space that's welcoming both to young families and to, increasingly independent teenagers. So.
No, overall, I think your program's great. I think the Learning Center is a huge asset to the community. I think it's a good opportunity for them to take advantage of different things so that they can continue to become better in school, and it benefits the students and families for sure. But I think overall it's great, but I think, we need to dial it into some of these, students where we have the biggest challenge. I know it's hard, and so.
Thank you.
As long as
We
we're
certainly
trying.
have work to do. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm gonna say just real quick, through this season that we were going through, Dr. Fran has been working hard with the Richland School District, which at that time I felt there were still some gaps there, and I think by us meeting monthly or the times that we do meet, I think that's filling in that gap. I think Dr. Fran is also able to go to the Richland School District and be in their staff meetings and stuff like that. Those doors, opportunities were open. So I think communication, and I think more time spent at the school sites or with the teachers, it just builds a better relationship. And I think that helps out for everything to work a lot more smoother. So again, I just want to say thank you, Dave, for all your hard work and going outside the bubble.
Well, and thank you, Councilmember, and for your work as well.
Okay, with that, I believe this is just a file and presentation. All right. Well, look at you. You got it easy. You didn't even need a motion for that one. Thank you very much, by the way, for all the effort you have put into that. That first meeting was rather interesting, but it's kind of nice to see everyone coming together in a more positive environment. So very good. Item number 7, discussion regarding the possible general plan update committees. Sir.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, what our planning manager, Steve Etzelman, is going to present to you as part of our general plan update. And a best practice in general plan updates, because it's community-based, it's property owner-based, is to form a committee of sorts or different committees to help guide that process. And so this evening, our planning manager, Steve, will make a presentation of staff's proposal of how we might be able to achieve that. Steve?
Yes, yes. Honorable Mayor and Council, Steve Esselman, your Planning Director. As you know, we have just recently kicked off the general plan update. We've had a couple of in-house kickoff meetings with myself and the consultant. What we're working on now is a lot of background information gathering, needs lists, you know, so that they have all the information necessary to begin sort of the background reports. But along with that, there's a need to sort of consider whether or not we want to have advisory committees. Again, you can't really plan a general plan update in a vacuum. I can't just sit down with a map and you know, plan out the city without input, you know, because if we don't get buy-off from the citizenry, the general plan update is not going to be successful. So with that, there are some best practices for general plan updates, and some of those are namely the first two committees that I'm talking about, the General Plan Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee, are generally committees that are formed for most general plan updates. The third one that I'm going to talk about is an Environmental Justice Advisory Committee, sort of separate from those other two committees. And the reason for that one is because we did start a environmental justice process where we did have a group of advocates on a committee to sort of steer that process. It's stalled because we came to the conclusion that an environmental impact report would be necessary to ultimately approve an environmental justice element. So we said, why don't we hold off until we do a greater general plan, and then we can incorporate an environmental justice element as required by law. And so I kind of wanted to go into first the general plan advisory committee. It's basically, it ensures community representation, and it helps to make the general plan reflect the values and priorities of the community. They would help with refining policies, foster consensus among diverse stakeholders, and assist in articulating long-term vision for the community, as well as providing an advisory role to the council. And with that, we sort of, between myself, the consultants, and then I came to the city manager to sort of brainstorm what could possibly the composition of such a committee could be made up of. What we sort of came up with was this, essentially making up a general plan advisory committee that is made up of 2 city council members that you would pick. So 2 of you would be on this advisory committee. There would be 5 individuals that would be appointed by the city council, or 1 person, whomever you would like, 1 person per council member. We also thought that it would be important to have a wonderful company representative on this advisory committee, since they are such a large landholder in the area. We also thought that there would be a need for a representative from what's called Suburban Land Reserve. Suburban Land Reserve actually holds a lot of the ag lands in the center of our city. And so we thought that might be a good person to have on this committee as well. We also thought that a representative from the Richland School District would be useful in this committee. A representative from Shafter Rec and Park. 1 planning commission member that the planning commission would pick. As well as 1 member of the Minterfield Airport District, since the airport is a big part of our economy, particularly our industrial economy. And finally, a representative of Mr. Sills. Mr. Sills is a landowner that has a lot of property along Laredo Highway in that area to the east that we think we're going to expand into from the core. And we've already engaged Mr. Sills a couple of times in some of his ideas for the future. We thought it would probably be a good idea to have him or someone that is a representative of his on that advisory committee. So that's basically the composition of what we think the General Plan Advisory Committee could be. And that is our sort of recommendation to you guys to consider. Along with that, there's a Technical Advisory Committee. Now, the Technical Advisory Committee is essentially to provide a specialized expertise and technical guidance to assist in collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data for the general plan update. It contributes to the development and evaluation of policies and strategies for the general plan. It plays a role in quality control and quality assurance. It ensures that the general plan is grounded in sound technical analysis. And again, it provides an advisory role to the city council. With that, the Technical Advisory Committee would actually be made up of in-house members of staff from various departments. Those departments being planning, public works, building, engineering, GIS, economic development, education, as well as downtown, because David is also working on the downtown committee. So education in the downtown area, a representative from the city manager's office, and a representative as needed from the city attorney's office to provide legal guidance. So that's basically the composition of what we think the Technical Advisory Committee, and that's one where it would be as needed to discuss technical issues to make sure we're on the right track and that we've got all the best minds from the city thinking about those large issues. And then finally, we were thinking of a third committee, again, the Environmental Justice Advisory Committee. This would ensure that the planning process and resulting policies address environmental justice issues. They promote the equality by advocating for policies and strategies that prioritize vulnerable populations, ensures that the general plan update reflects needs, priorities, and aspirations of all community members. It would provide an advisory role to the council. And again, I think our thoughts on this is we don't know the particular members, but there was a group of people that were working on the environmental justice element a few years ago. And what we were thinking of doing is reaching out to those people again and asking them who they may want on this advisory committee. We again wanted to sort of bifurcate environmental justice from the greater advisory committee because we already had been working so closely on this one element. I wanted to sort of keep the continuity in that regard. So essentially, this item is just informational. This is our thoughts, and what I would like to do is just open it up to you to know your thoughts, whether you think these committees are a good thing, a bad thing. You think that the composition that we proposed seems to make sense? Would you like to make any revisions or changes as a result? So with that, I'm going to open it up to your thoughts and comments. Thank you.
Just really quick, Mayor, to add one comment with regards to the larger group committee that Steve's proposing. It was rather difficult to try to keep it to a smaller group in order to capture the different areas and representatives that make up the community from both business, private property owners, representation, and to be inclusive. So 15, as you see, is the total number that we felt is it's manageable. And so that's the reason we came up with that. But we're of the opinion that the members would be inclusive of the different areas of the city. And so we leave that to your discretion.
Very good. Okay, council, any questions or comments in regards to, let's take the larger of the two groups, the three groups. Any questions or comments to that layout? Everyone's okay with that? Nope. Yeah, please.
Comment with the technical, that's a
staff.
That's
Yeah,
internal.
correct.
Yeah, so.
I mean, maybe Steve shouldn't do that group. I don't know.
Come on.
There's not a lot of people who get really excited for this kind of stuff, the therefores and wherefores. It's a fun moment to get to play in the sandbox of wordsmithing. I say that facetiously, but there's a lot that happens in a GPA, a lot that happens, and sometimes people don't quite understand how extensive this type of work is and what it actually does in setting our city up for the future. So you got a big workload in front of you, to say the least. Councilmember, you were going to say something?
Well, that 15, the group one, which is the makeup of 15. At first I thought that was a lot of people. I don't know if that was you were gonna be able to get anything done because a lot of input, you know. But I think it's all necessary because from every angle. Is there like a timeline that these folks that are participating that are I because of recommendation of different ways of selecting the folks, the question they're going to ask, well, how long is this going to last? How many meetings am I going to attend? You know, is it a 1 month deal or once a month or so those are just questions that they may have. If we go by one of the proposals that you mentioned that either council selects one person, individually or the group or just individuals, how long is this whole process is gonna take, so.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the process should take about 2 years. My guess is that for that, the General Plan Advisory Committee, it would probably be bi-monthly, meaning every other month at critical points, where we need input from the larger group. We would bring them in. It would not necessarily be a standing meeting. It would probably be more of a as needed. It would probably be more meetings early on. It would sort of slow down once we get sort of the direction, it would slow down in the middle of the process as we develop the general plan update. And then when we start to present that draft, we would probably present it first to the advisory committee to make sure that we've sort of gotten close to the mark before we bring it to the greater council. So in all, over the 2-year period, I would guess there would be about 10 to 15 total meetings. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Really depends on how much we get done in those, in those first few meetings and what kind of follow-up is necessary after that. But that's generally the level of effort. Each meeting probably about an hour to 2 hours. So, someone's given up 20 to 30 hours of their time over a 2-hour period.
2-year period.
Correct, over a 2-year period. Yeah, that was said incorrectly. Anyone else, council? Any other comments, questions? Everyone's okay with the layout?
No, and you're having experiences in the past. It's been many, many years that we've done this, and it does work. It does work, and it has involvement from a variety in the community, and staff is ready to go with it. I think this will only add to it and get it completed and move on. It looks good to me.
Very good. Sir?
So with that, then we will move forward formalizing this and we'll bring back to you more of the formal presentation for action that this is the format in which you want to proceed. And then with the 2 council members, my recommendation to council would be to form an ad hoc committee, kind of like general plan update ad hoc committee. And then you guys can volunteer for that role. So we'll prepare that and bring that to you at the next meeting with your input.
The only question I might have before we move on is we didn't identify how many people representing Environmental Justice Advisory. Was there any input on that?
I just put no more than 10. Again, the group that I was going to reach out to, that sort of the group that we were working with, 2 years ago prior to stopping because we needed an environmental impact report. And that's when we sort of stopped doing the environmental justice element. I remember, again, I'm reflecting back on like 1 or 2 meetings I had very early in my tenure here in the city of Shafter, and I believe there was about 8 to 10 people in that group. So it would be no more than 10 people.
Yeah, and I would almost even say you could cut it down to less than that, especially to get the right people that understand the whole issue. And I mean, what it's doing is really incorporating additional groups to answer their questions so that it won't interfere with our development. Right?
I don't know if it's that. It's more just trying to get their opinion on if we're in the right direction. Again, all 3 are advisory. They have no final say on anything. You, of course, as the council, have the final say on all matters related to the general plan update. But I think it would behoove us to include the Environmental Justice Group as part of an ad hoc. Now, whether it's 10 or 5, let me see how many they would want, and if it gets that early, we can sort of talk about that more. But
is it possible to see who really participated before? Because it doesn't come to me right away as to who was on it and if it had to be that large. Because there was an awful lot of suspicious feelings previously because it was so new from the state.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we've taken care of that a lot with even AB 617. Not that I want to exclude anybody. I think it's important, but sometimes you get way too many people. It's kind of like what even Gilbert said on the advisory, but the advisory is pretty diverse. 15 doesn't seem to be so much, but on the environmental justice. Just let's see what happened on that last one. Kind of refresh me on it.
Sure, I can absolutely, hopefully have that information. Again, it was pretty early in my tenure. I'll go back and see what the names
Yeah.
were.
Right.
Yeah, and there,
Lloyd's-
there is something about having too many cooks in the kitchen. I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Lloyd Zola was the one that was in on that. So I can't remember who and what was in on it.
Mayor Pro Tem, that was the SB 1000 conversation with Lloyd, and I hear you and agree with you. Although I think as far as an advisory committee for EJ stands, it's going to be one that you've probably worked more closely with, Steve, in regards to the type of people.
Mhm.
And maybe one plucked from the, SB 1000 folks, one from the AB 617. You never know, but I agree. I don't think we should make everything super large, but you kind of have the relationships already pre-built. You kind of know where you want to go, and I don't think it would be right for us to step over those toes. And
Well, and they could be incorporated with the advisory too. I mean, they may feel very good about it. Shouldn't have to be any different.
Just, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor and Council, I dealt with the group. The lead person for them is Refugio Valencia and Gustavo, who were the two primary. Working with them, it's not a very large group. We'll have to make some special accommodations because they do have some language barriers. But from my recollection with their group and what they represented, it wasn't a large group.
bless you.
Thank you.
Very good, sir. So that'll bring back, I'm assuming, on the next council meeting or in the next, somewhere in the future.
Next couple, either the first or second meeting of June. All right.
Ready for a GPA. Let's go. Enjoy the stuff. Okay, with that said, let's move on. Item number 8 is discussion on the Aquatic Center conceptual building layout update. Very exciting, sir.
Certainly, Mayor Council, as you know, you approved the buildings down.
Yeah.
There's no turning back. We burned the
Yeah.
boats. So we are now at a point that we have a very well-designed proposed facility. And so our Deputy Public Works Director over CIP, Alex Gonzalez, wants to make a presentation to get your input. I mean, the design is fairly more or less is what it looks like. But we're looking for your input for any minor modifications or ideas. Alex?
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. So back in March, you authorized, entering into a professional services agreement with Ortiz Melby to complete plans and specifications for a new modular aquatic center building. Since that time, we executed the agreement, and using the feedback that you had previously provided, as well as some input from other stakeholders, we worked through a couple of revisions of the conceptual building layout. Ultimately, we ended on the layout that you see on the screen. You'll notice that the building footprint is almost identical to the previous building, with some modifications made to the interior of the building to better utilize the space. The benefits of this were that it fits nicely on the site already with minimal impact to anything that's already existing. And then in addition to that, the shape of the building is conducive to a modular building design and layout. So kind of working with all those factors and then the budget that we had, this is where we ended up. So at this point, this item is for information and for discussion. And at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that you guys have on the layout.
Oh, this is exciting. Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I can walk you really quickly through kind of what's included on there. So what you'll see on the north end of it, obviously, is the parking lot of it with the pool being on the bottom or the south side. So you would enter into a lobby, then with the reception area there's also some space for like office for somebody who's there if we have staff there or, program facilities manager that has access to that area as well as a view of the pool. On both sides, you have locker rooms, both men and women's, that have lockers and showers and changing facilities. You've got restrooms when you enter as well. And then you got a couple places for storage, electrical room over there. And then you'll see on the far left-hand side of it, you got a pretty good sized concession stand. It's got a good amount of storage as well as its own restroom for the staff that are using it and a janitor closet to clean that area. And that really makes up the majority of the building. And just to note, the pool equipment, you'll see the existing pool equipment building pad. That's actually a building that's there. That's where the actual mechanical equipment for the pool is housed. So that's not housed in the building itself. You got a ramp that leads up to it that's more accommodating with steps and ADA accessibility as well. And you'll have stairs it's showing on one side, but likely you'll have stairs on the other side on the front as well, for access to both sides of the facility. So that's, the building in a nutshell. You'll note, the previous building had open areas over the changing stations and stuff and bathrooms and facilities. That is not going to be the case. This is intended to be a fully enclosed building.
What's the height anticipated?
I don't know what the height is. I know they're working on renderings for, elevation views, and I'm sure it'll have some adjustment to make it architecturally pleasing. So,
Thank you.
I didn't see any budget items or any cost estimates.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor and Council, we don't have those at the time. This is just a conceptual layout. Once we give them the go-ahead that this is the layout that we want, they will continue with the design. And once they're far along in design, they'll be able to run cost proposals on that or estimates on that.
I know, but we must have some idea because when we looked at something before, we were looking at $4 million. So what are we looking at here? Are we able to keep it down below?
I believe we were because Alex, we came to them with the proposal of what was the amount?
So, when we came initially looking at different options back in December, we were looking at probably a $4 or $5 million option for the big one, but that was a 5,000 square foot building.
Right.
This option was more in the $2 to $3 million range, and this is a 3,000 square foot facility, which is, like I said, identical to what we currently have there now.
It seems to fit really nicely. Did we left the shade structures in from previous? Yes or no? I haven't went over there to look at that.
Yeah, so the shade structures were left as part of the demoing of the building because we weren't quite sure what the layout would be, but now that the layout's there, we're working on removing them. We are salvaging them as best as possible for potentially reuse on the site and other areas since they already match the things that are there. But those shade structures are going to come down. Currently, they are down with the exception of the vertical standing poles that are intended to probably be roped in with the building pad portion of the work.
Based on the square footage size, we still have the capacity to have bleachers. I say that because there's a lot of potential, especially with some of the folks we have talked to in the last few days. There's a lot of potential for not just events, but what's the word? It's tournaments. Thank you. Actual tournaments for swim programs, high schools, what have you. So we still have the capacity to do that because we're not going 5,000 square foot on the building.
Yeah, so essentially you have the same exact site that you had before.
Okay.
So all the bleachers that we had on site before, we can reuse those in addition in the same places. And if we need to add more, we can look at that as well.
Does it still have the diving board?
So this specifically doesn't address it, but the pool,
Right.
yes, does
Oh,
have,
okay.
will have a diving board.
Okay.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments?
When will we, come to the point where we'll know what the outside's gonna look like?
So, after I speak with Ortiz about this, the next stage will be moving into detail and design drawings. And I know they're already kind of working on that, but we wanted to finalize the conceptual layout first to make sure, we weren't redoing work. So, we could probably have elevation drawings in the next month or so, month or two, as we move into the more, detailed drawings.
Okay.
Thank
But
you.
when we get those, we can bring them back to council to view them and, gather input on what the exterior is going to look like.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Sir, thank you very much for your time. With that, we will move on to our last management report for the evening, the approval of a purchase and sell agreement between the City of Shafter and Alliance Ready Mix Incorporated for the city-owned property located at 100 Carver Street under APN 091-18016. Sir.
Sorry, Mayor Council, this is pertains to a city-owned property that the city owns by fee title located at 100 Carver Street here in Shafter. APN number 091-18016-004, consisting of approximately 4.6 acres. By way of background, in 2018, the city entered into a lease for the property with Alliance Ready Mix for a 5-year contract. Pursuant to that lease, Alliance Ready Mix had a one-time option to purchase the property. And on June 7th of 2023, Alliance provided a notice to the city to exercise that option. And after further negotiations, discussions, the city reached sale terms with Alliance. And the total purchase price for the property is $1,100,000, of which 10% of that, or $110,000, will be payable as a deposit. And then the remaining balance of the $990,000 due at escrow closing. And then upon the approval of the PSA, the purchase sale agreement, we'll move forward with opening escrow and then closing escrow upon recording the grant deed. Additionally, this, as you know, in 2019, the Surplus Land Act took into effect. The Surplus Land Act is legislation the state of California passed related to new procedures for which cities can sell or dispose of city-owned land. In January 1st of 2024, the revisions to Surplus Land Act, the law, allows for an exemption for disposal of property pursuant to any legally binding agreement entered into before September 30th of 2019, so long as the sale of the property was completed by December 31st of 2025. Basically what that means is because we entered into an agreement in 2018, which was prior to the law taking effect, we do not have to comply with Surplus Land Act. They made it exempt. So we don't have to go through the whole 60-day process and noticing and all of that. But that was because it was changes to the law itself. So for that reason, the city is not required to comply with Surplus Land Act. There will not be any due diligence process by the purchaser because they're already on the property, leasing it. They already have a business on the property. The new property owner will move forward to keep the business here in Shafter, and they have plans to construct an office and a shop for their operation. And so if you have any questions, I'm available for them. Also, too, upon your approval, we will move forward with executing the PSA and opening escrow because it is a cash transaction and there's no due diligence period. It could be as short of a 20-day escrow period. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm available.
Council, questions, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, I'm going to look for a motion in a second, please.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Prout,
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Given.
Yes, with that, that is all of our management report items for the evening. Sir, city manager comments and reports?
Sorry, Mayor and Council, just want to echo the comments you've already made related to ICC this year. I'd like to say that a lot of hard work went into prepping, so I want to acknowledge the work of our ED analyst, Giovanni Perez. And then when we brought on Nando, our new economic development director, and then for all of you, I think it was good that you attended because you got to see firsthand what it is economic development really is out there in the real world when we're trying to get businesses and like some of you said, our residents say, hey, bring in a KFC or a Jack in the Box, and you go talk to these businesses and they got very specific criteria on how they're going to come into the city. So it was very beneficial in that regard. My feet, like a lot of you, are still hurting because it's all walking. And then just also too, the proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25. As you know, we are required by city charter that a copy be available and published by June 1st. We will release the budget next Friday, the 31st, make that available on our website, and then we will provide that to you. The first hearing for that budget for consideration is June 4th, and then the second meeting in June for formal adoption. And so with that, I have no further comments. And also tonight, you heard from basically all the reports from our directors, so there's nothing further from them. Thank you.
Sir?
I'd just like to make Yasmina and her staff for setting up all the arrangements for us over the weekend. Everything worked out smooth and I didn't have no problems. So perfect. Thank you.
We didn't die on the plane. We are going to move into closed session. We have three items tonight on closed session. Let me say this because I would be remiss to neglect the comment made during public comment time. So it's my apologies, council, for not saying it earlier. I know there was a public comment from the Chamber of Commerce in regards to the fireworks sponsorship. I did want to ask council, does anyone want to have that brought back up to the next council meeting, or is that something you just want to forego? At least I felt it was wrong for me not to say something at the time, so I do apologize for waiting so long to say something. That's on me. But I just did want to ask if anyone from council wanted to bring that back up, or just let it lie where it lies. Okay. Okay, no comments. We're gonna leave, sir.
I just, want to make sure there is a solution. I just want to make sure that there is a solution. And, I think if there's, if there's something that we think that may not exist next year, let's not wait till then. Let's try to get ahead of it or find a solution. So I don't know, just.
My suggestion is a solution could be that we help them in publicity to get the word out there. And our social media is set up that we can just put it out there. We've got a strong month to get some backing for it. People know what it's going to cost, and it kind of gives them an idea. And if nothing else, I mean, Chamber has to expand on their appeal to these companies and to individuals. And so, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I want to make a comment, and this happened last week where this is where I find it difficult to do something like this. There's a member in the community that was going to make a pretty good donation to this. There was an appointment set up for to make contact to collect the money. Something happened. It was canceled, postponed. There was a second appointment scheduled, and there was no contact. And I find that very difficult, that if they have this issue, why are they passing up this? And this was going to be a $1,000 donation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thinking behind it, so.
And I would certainly encourage them to make that approach back to those people, but they're going to have to put some effort in there. And like I said, we can help them in promoting the publicity of it, but they're going to have to be responsible enough to pick it up.
So I think with that said, I just wanted to see if it was something to bring up to our manager report. It probably wouldn't hurt to have them come back and at least give an update on where they're at. I think that would be wise of us to at least hear that and hear that from the dais. So at the very least, we should have them invited back for at least a informational session. What is happening, and is there other means and methods for us to help? So that would be my recommendation. Okay, that okay? All right. Thank you for at least giving me that moment to say that. We do have three items tonight in closed session. Item number one is conference with our legal counsel for an existing litigation in regards to the Department of Tax and Fee Administration. Number two is the conference with legal counsel for an exposure to litigation. And number three is a public employee appointment in regards to the city manager. With that, I need to move into recess, so I need a motion and a second, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, second by Councilmember Olvera. All those in favor with aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Hearing none. We're in recess at 8:08.
Hi. I can see you guys, but I can't hear you.
From closed session, I'm
There
looking
you
to
go.
our city attorney to take us out.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier tonight, City Council recessed in a closed session. The items are listed on the special meeting agenda. There were 3 items on the agenda. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. With respect to that matter, City Council had heard a presentation from legal counsel and staff and provided an update, and we have no portable action. We also had conference with legal counsel, exposure litigation, 1 potential case. In that matter, the City Council was provided information relative to that matter. We have no reportable action. And finally, we had a brief discussion on public employee employment regarding the future city manager. And we have no reportable action on that item either.
Okay, with nothing else on the docket, I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Rivera. All those in favor with aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Sign opposed, hearing none. We are dismissed at 9:12 PM. Good job, everybody.